Welcome back to our channel, my friends. It is a beautiful Tuesday to sit down together, pour a warm cup of coffee, and unpack the heavy emotional baggage our favorite Port Charles residents are currently carrying. We have so much to discuss today, so let us jump right into the heart of the matter. I have to admit, I have been sitting here just shaking my head in absolute disbelief over Britt Westbourne's current predicament. Seeing her extradited back to Port Charles to face charges for the kidnapping of little Rocco Falconeri is just a massive pill to swallow. I have watched Britt grow and evolve over the years, and I honestly thought she had moved past these reckless, destructive choices. It genuinely hurts my heart to see her back in handcuffs, facing the music for a crime that feels so chaotic. I cannot help but wonder what was truly going through her mind when she got entangled in this mess. It makes me question if she is self-sabotaging again because she feels she has nothing left to lose. Britt has always been her own worst enemy, but this situation feels entirely different and far more tragic than her past mistakes. My deepest sympathies right now are firmly resting with her mother, Liesl Obrecht. I have been watching Kathleen Gotti pour her absolute soul into this character for years, and I am continually amazed by the depth of Liesl's maternal love. Beneath that tough, sometimes villainous exterior is a mother who loves her children with a fierce, almost terrifying devotion. To see Liesl facing this incredible wall of deception from her own daughter is just gut-wrenching. I feel a profound sadness for Liesl because she has already endured more tragedy than any one person should ever have to bear. How much more heartbreak can one mother take before she completely shatters? I truly believe we are about to see Liesl reach her absolute breaking point. The absolute biggest shocker in all of this, the secret that has me pacing my living room floor, is the revelation about Nathan. When I found out that the man we thought was Nathan West was actually Cassius Faison, I was completely floored. Learning that Madeline Reeves, Liesl's own sister, handed Cassius over to that monster Caesar Faison is a level of betrayal that makes my blood run cold. I have always despised Madeline for her manipulative ways, but this is a new low even for her. It sickens me to think about the twisted webs these families weave, treating children like pawns in their sick games. I cannot even begin to imagine the pure, unadulterated rage Liesl must be feeling toward her deceased sister right now. Watching Liesl process this twisted truth is breaking my heart into a million pieces. She is essentially being forced to mourn the death of her beloved Nathan all over again, while simultaneously trying to wrap her mind around the existence of Cassius. As a viewer who has followed her journey, I feel an overwhelming wave of empathy for her. No mother should ever have to bury a child, but to have your grief manipulated and twisted by your own family is an unspeakable cruelty. I think Liesl is showing incredible strength by trying to accept Cassius, but the underlying grief for the Nathan she thought she knew must be suffocating her. Will she ever be able to find true peace amidst all this chaos? This brings me to my absolute disappointment in Britt. The fact that Britt knew this monumental secret about Cassius and kept it hidden from her mother is a betrayal I am struggling to forgive. I keep asking myself, why on earth would Britt hold on to something so massive? Britt knows better than anyone how much Liesl suffered over Nathan's death. To withhold the truth about her own brother is not just a lie of omission. It is a profound act of emotional cruelty. I honestly believe Britt was acting out of some misguided sense of self-preservation, but my frustration with Britt only grows. She should have trusted her mother with the truth, no matter how complicated it was. Liesl's realization that Britt's silence is just as damaging as a blatant lie is a very powerful moment. I completely agree with Liesl's perspective here. Sometimes the things we do not say cause far more damage than the lies we tell. I evaluate the situation and see a mother who feels entirely foolish and betrayed by the one person she thought she could trust unconditionally. When you look at the sheer weight of these compounded betrayals, Madeline giving the baby to Faison and Britt knowing about it for so long, it is a miracle Liesl is still standing. I predict that this specific betrayal regarding Nathan and Cassius will be the hardest hurdle for their relationship to overcome. And just when I thought the deception could not get any worse, we have to talk about Britt faking her death and hiding out at the Five Poppies. I am absolutely livid on Liesl's behalf. Can you imagine the agony of mourning your daughter weeping over her memory, only to find out she was alive, working, and simply choosing not to contact you? I feel a deep, visceral anger toward Britt for allowing Liesl to suffer that kind of unnecessary grief. It is one thing to be in danger, but it is another thing entirely to leave your mother in the dark, drowning in sorrow. I think Britt severely underestimated how much her supposed death would destroy Liesl. I know Britt claims she was being blackmailed by Ross Cullum and Jen Sidwell to finish Faison's ultimate project. But let us be honest here, my friends. I think that is an incredibly weak excuse for keeping her survival a secret. Britt is a smart, resourceful woman. She has navigated incredibly dangerous waters before. I evaluate this blackmail situation, and I just do not buy that she had absolutely no way to send a coded message or a subtle sign to her mother. It feels like an excuse to justify her isolation. I am highly suspicious of Cullum and Sidwell, but I still hold Britt accountable for her silence. She chose to protect the project over protecting her mother's sanity. When I look back at Britt's history, she has been on the run before. We all remember when she was fleeing the police or the WSB, running off with Caesar or Jason Morgan. But those times felt different to me. In those instances, there was a clear present danger that necessitated her disappearance. This time, she was not actively dodging bullets from the authorities in the same way. She was working in a clinic, hiding in plain sight. This makes her failure to reach out to Liesl feel so much more deliberate and cold. I cannot help but compare her past actions to her present ones, and my conclusion is that Britt has lost her way entirely. The layer of this story that truly shatters me, though, is the Huntington's disease storyline. Knowing that Britt believed she was dying, and that she was secretly taking experimental drugs to treat it, adds a tragic context to her isolation. I feel a profound sorrow for Britt when I think about her facing that terrifying diagnosis all alone in the dark. But simultaneously, my frustration boils over because she should never have been alone. Why didn't she run straight to her mother? Liesl would have moved heaven and earth to save her. I think Britt's pride and her fear of becoming a burden completely clouded her judgment. What absolutely baffles me is Britt's failure to utilize Liesl's incredible medical genius. Liesl is a brilliant doctor, a master of complex medical mysteries. When Britt thought she was taking this experimental Huntington's drug, why didn't she take a sample straight to her mother to reverse engineer it? I am sitting here practically screaming at my television screen. Liesl could have analyzed the compounds, verified its safety, and perhaps even improved it. I feel that Britt's failure to ask for Liesl's medical help is the ultimate insult to her mother's life's work. It shows a staggering lack of faith in her mother's professional skills. And now, the impending twist that Britt was misdiagnosed all along is just the icing on this incredibly toxic cake. The idea that she was handed a fake death sentence to manipulate her into a new life is terrifying. I strongly suspect that Cullum had someone planted in that clinic, or perhaps Victor Cassadine's sinister reach is involved. We all know Victor had clinics under his control, and given Peter August's past associations with him, the connections are all too real. I predict that when the truth about this medical tampering comes to light, it is going to blow Port Charles wide open. I am incredibly anxious to see how Britt reacts when she realizes all her suffering was built on a lie. The upcoming confrontation between Liesl and Britt is going to be monumental. Liesl has so many burning questions, so many justified accusations, and a mountain of hurt that she has been carrying for far too long. I can already picture the scene. Liesl, with tears streaming down her face, finally unleashing all of her pent-up agony and betrayal onto Britt. I expect it to be raw, brutal, and incredibly difficult to watch. I feel that Liesl has every right to refuse to even look at Britt right now, but she is a mother, and she is forced to confront the child who broke her heart. This is not just a scolding. This is a reckoning for years of deceit. As I sit here and ponder the future of this complex mother-daughter relationship, I am filled with a deep sense of worry. Can a bond this fractured ever truly be repaired? The betrayal is so deep, so layered, that a simple apology will never suffice. However, despite my current disappointment in Britt, I still hold on to a tiny glimmer of hope. Liesl's love for her daughter is the most powerful force in her life. I predict that it will take a very long time, and perhaps a life-threatening crisis, for Liesl to truly forgive Britt. I just hope Britt realizes the magnitude of what she has done before she loses her mother's love forever. What do you all think? Can Liesl ever forgive her?